What's up, guys? Neil Orfield here to take a look at some of the lineups being generated by Stokastic's MLB DFS Lineup Generator. I'll be taking a look at lineups for both DraftKings and FanDuel. While you're coming in, please do like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that notification button so you can get alerts when our shows go live. Of course, if you have not yet signed up for Lineup Generator, you can still get it for 50% off using the link in the description of this video. If you use that link, it's going to be just $4.48 for your first week, just $8.95 after that, the regular price. Still a great deal for a product that's only going to give you plus EV lineups. Let's start by taking a look at some DraftKings lineups. I'm going to do all stack types. This is the way that I usually use the generator. All stack types, all lineups. I want to get a mix of chalky, balanced, and contrarian lineups, and then I'm not going to lock in any pitchers. All right, so first lineup we get here, we get a 5-man Guardian stack with a 3-man Seattle stack as well. Let's take a look at where they are in the top stacks. So we're looking at the Guardians and the Mariners. Guardians number 2 overall in top stack odds at 11%. A little bit of negative leverage on the Guardians at 14% ownership, but 17% chance of being the top value stack. Still looks like a nice stack there. And then Seattle, pretty low down the board. 4th from the bottom, 7.5% chance of being the top stack at 9% ownership. Still, that's for a team that is 4th from the bottom, 7.5% chance. Not bad. It's pretty flat today across the board with Seattle all the way down here with a 7.5% chance. Shorter slate, of course, partially accounting for that, but still looks like a nice enough stack. And if we look at the individual bats here, we have a mix of some chalkier bats with, Jose Ramirez at 22%. But we also have some contrarian bats. Jared Kelenic, 8% on a 5-game slate. Fairly low owned there. Bo Naylor at 13%, Josh Bell at 12%. So not getting crazy high ownership for a slate of this size. Nice mix of bats here. And then we have Garrett Whitlock and Shohei Ohtani as the pitchers. Let's take a look at the top pitchers tool as well. Ohtani, number 2 overall in top 2 pitcher odds, 33% chance of being one of the top 2 pitchers on the board at 31% ownership. We find some positive leverage at the top of the board. Kind of rare, I guess, is because of that matchup with the Dodgers. Not the best spot, but still, he's Shohei Ohtani, one of the best pitchers in baseball. So we'll take it. And then Garrett Whitlock down with a 19% chance of being a top 2 pitcher at 15% projected ownership. A little bit of positive leverage. Also, a little bit of salary savings here at 7,000 allows you to play Shohei and then all of those great bats as well. Nicely balanced lineup. Of course, we know that's what you're going to get in the lineup generator. You're only going to get lineups that have been balanced nicely in a way that can win tournaments. All right, I'm going to save this one. Now we get a very chalky. You see this one, the chalky meter on the far left end of the board. So let's see what we have here. We've got Shohei Ohtani again, and also Luis Castillo, 52% projected ownership. That'll bring up the ownership quite a bit when you go with the super chalk pitcher. We still have that 5-man Guardian stack with 3 one-offs and the one-offs. Fernando Tatis at 18% projected ownership. Andrew Velazquez at 6%, Edward Julian at 13%. So overall, we've got a couple bats saving us some ownership here in Velazquez, Will Brennan, both in the single digits. But one of the chalkier lineups you're probably going to get out of lineup generator here. But again, we know that it has been found to be plus EV. If we've run the sims, 40,000 times, 50,000 times, this lineup came out ahead overall in those sims. So we know it's a plus EV lineup, despite being chalky, still has some of these lower owned bats in there to balance it out a little bit. All right, let's save this one. Getting to a lot of Guardians once again today, as we were seeing that yesterday as well. Again, getting to a lot of Guardians. Now we have 3 Twins bats as a secondary stack. This one's still also on the very chalky end of the spectrum. I'm going to go through and just save the rest of these lineups and see. You can see the chalk meter bouncing around here on the lineups because we did a mix of chalky, contrarian, and balanced. But they've all been balanced for us in a way that should be plus EV. All right, so not a surprise. We have a bunch of Guardians at the top in terms of our exposure in these 20 lineups. Stephen Kwan, number 1 at 85%, Jose Ramirez, 75%, Jimenez, 70%, Rosario, 60%. If I get this kind of exposure, I'm probably going to go back, get rid of some of these Guardian stacks, maybe try to go find some contrarian lineups because I don't think I want to have this level of exposure to the Guardians. But again, it's a matter of personal preference. You certainly could. You're just taking on a bigger risk if you're going to have that much exposure to just one team. All right, let's take a look at some FanDuel lineups as well. Again, I'm going to do all stack types, all lineups. Not going to lock anybody in here. Still the Guardians looking good on FanDuel. We got Josh Bell, Jimenez, Rosario, Naylor, four-man Guardian stack. That is, of course, the max that you can have on FanDuel. And then we also have two Braves, two Phillies. Looks like a good lineup. Looks like we have the 9-hole and the 3-hole for the Braves. So a little bit of a gap there. And then the Phillies, the 1 and 3-hole. Let's see where they line up on the top stack tool on FanDuel. Guessing the Guardians going to be near the top once again. Yep, number 2 on the board. A little bit of negative leverage, but again, they're 10% chance to be in the top stack overall. Looks good for the Guardians, and we do have some individual bats bringing down the ownership of this lineup. Austin Riley at just 5%, Michael Harris at 1%, bringing the ownership way down with those Braves. Plus Nick Castellanos just at 9%. So not chalky across the board. We've got some low-owned bats to bring down the overall exposure. Luis Castillo at 25% projected owner, or 25% projected ownership on FanDuel. He is top of the board in terms of top pitcher odds on FanDuel. Looks like a good lineup. All right, I'm going to save this one. Look at one more. Once again, the Guardians, another 4-2-4-3-1 stack. Guardians, Rangers with Trey Turner as a one-off. Again, some bats bringing down the overall ownership on a relatively chalky line. I guess it's kind of middle of the board overall. We have enough of these low-owned bats. Will Brennan at 6%, Kwan at 7%, and then Aaron Nola, I guess, 24% ownership. So, kind of a middle of the board in terms of ownership kind of lineup. I'm going to go through and save these 20 lineups and see what we end up with. Slightly more balanced in this one, but still a ton of Guardians at the top. Again, if I get these 20 lineups, I would go back, try and get rid of some of these Guardian stacks. I'd probably go choose contrarian lineups specifically. So I try to get rid of some of these Guardians, which, I mean, the easiest way to do that. So take a look. I'll get rid of, I'm going to go for some 4-man stacks to get rid of. All right, here's a 4-man. I'm going to discard that. Not sure if that's working. All right, let me go to the top. 4-man. All right, there. That time it worked. Discarded that one. Discarded that one. So I got rid of a couple of these. I'll discard one more. And then if you want to go just find contrarian lineups, the easiest way to do that, just go back to the top MLB Lineup Generator, back to FanDuel Main, all stack types. And then now I'm just going to choose contrarian to try to get away from some of that Guardians chalk. Let's see if we can find some non-Guardians lineups. Okay, this one has just 2 Guardians as opposed to 4. I guess that brings it down a little bit. This one has 4, so I'm going to discard. I'm just going to discard until I see one that doesn't have a ton of Guardians. Okay, just Jose Ramirez in this one. I'll save that. And here, this one doesn't have any Guardians bats. So I replaced those 3 Guardians stacks with some non-Guardian stacks. Of course, still had Jose Ramirez in 2 out of the 3, I believe. So still a ton of ownership there, but brought down the overall exposure to the Guardians, maybe evens out my risk a little bit, mitigates my risk a little bit on those Guardian stacks. So anyway, that is going to do it for this video. Again, my approach would be generally trying to even out how much of those Guardians I get to, because I don't think I really want 70% Guardian stacks in my lineups. Hopefully you have found this video useful. Hopefully you'll go sign up for Lineup Generator now, while you can still get it for 50% off. Again, $448 for your first week. Check it out if you haven't already. And if you haven't already, please do like the video. Helps us out quite a bit. Thanks for watching and good luck tonight.